going to talk about the paired passage, and really what we're looking at is making connections between texts. And so in the STAR world, that's known as the paired passage. It's kind of teacher talk, calling it the paired passage. But what you're doing is you're taking two texts and making connections between them. And so it's like if we look at this picture here, are they the same? No, they're not. But we have some similarities between them. We've got kids who are playing in water. Basically, both sides have a kid kind of jumping into the water. On the right side, it's more at a water park. On the left side, it's at a lake. So these kids on the bottom left are playing at a lake, where the girl in the top right corner, she's at a water park. So there's some similarities, but there's some differences. There are things we can compare and we can contrast within this. So this is the same as the paired passage. With the paired passage, we're going to see two different stories. They're going to have some similarities and they're going to have some differences. There's going to be something to tie them together, but they're going to be completely unique stories. Sometimes it may even be like a poem and a story. It may be it's two different stories. It might be a nonfiction piece and a fiction piece. It can be a lot of different things that we're going to compare and contrast. So the thing about the paired passage is they break our questions into three different groups. The first group is going to be questions about the first story. The second group is going to be questions about the second story. And the third group is going to be questions about both stories together, where we're going to really compare and contrast. So it's important that we really take note of that as we are answering our questions and all. So first of all, as we see here, this says read the next two selections. Okay, so we're reading Pucker Up Time and You Claire, and we're reading Cherry Berry. So those are the two different stories. I just took the pictures of the two titles. But then what we see down here is the first thing. This is the first section of questions. It says use Pucker Up Time and You Claire for questions 7 through 10. The next group of questions says use Cherry Berry. So this doesn't have the questions here, but just shows what the instructions are for those sections. So use Cherry Berry for questions 11 through 14. Then it says use both Pucker Up Time and Cherry Berry to answer 15 through 18. So make sure you pay attention to which story or stories you're using to answer those questions. Don't just look at the questions and think, oh, it said this, because it may have said something different in one story versus another. So make sure you pay close attention to which story it tells you to use, because it lets you know what story you're going to use. As always, use your TQ wrap. Title, question, read, answer, prove. Use your normal strategies you use even on the paired passage. But you can also do things like make a Venn diagram. After you've read your stories, as you've been going through TQ wrap, you can take a Venn diagram and you can put, the things from story 1 that are only in story 1 on the left side, things that are only in story 2 on the right. And then things they have in common, put down the middle, showing what they have that is the same. So, like we already looked, this would be showing the section from both Pucker Up Time in You Claire and Cherry Berry. It says right here, it shows us which ones to use. Same here. It says use both stories. And then finally here, I showed these because these are some of the most challenging. The most challenging questions in the paired passage are the ones where they want you to compare and contrast. But I wanted you to see how they show you. They tell you, use both stories to answer these questions. So, as you deal with the paired passage, mainly make sure you use your TQ wrap like always, but also make sure and pay attention to which story you need to use to answer that question's sections.